What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Trout Wrangler Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Garrity. It's currently episode 35, and it is 3:15 on Friday, April 25th. Damn, we're moving right along with this podcast. Episode 35 already. Didn't really think that I would get past 35 episodes, but you know what? Here we are. It's still cooking. So we're going to keep cooking. But today, you either love this or you hate this, but we got another solo episode. Thought I had some stuff lined up, didn't. Some plans fell through. But, that's the name of the game. Sometimes you got to improvise a little bit. So here we are. We're still putting out a show. I think it's a good show at that. A little backstory behind it before I get into it. A lot of people ask me, they're like, "Oh, do you listen to other podcasts now since you have your own podcast? Like, do you listen to podcasts still?" Of course I do. I gotta get inspiration from somewhere. That's my girlfriend texting me. Thought I had my phone on silent, but I guess not. But I got to get inspiration from somewhere. I love listening to these other podcasters. And I think a lot of these podcasts are way better than mine. Like, I hope I'm not saying this incorrectly, because if I'm saying it incorrectly, I come off as the biggest egotistical douchebag in the world. But I don't have shit on a lot of these other podcasters. They run some of the best shows, and I listen to them every week. And I'm going to run through some of my favorites. I've listened to a lot of them. Some of them I haven't. So a lot of it is from my personal opinion. Some of them from others. So either way, you're going to learn something from this podcast, whether it's learn about my podcast or learn about one of the other great ones in the industry. And before I start this, if your podcast is not on this list, don't get butthurt. It is nothing against you. I'm doing this in no particular order. I'm just making people aware of some good podcasts that are way better than mine. I appreciate you all watching it, of course, or listening to it wherever you do. But, dude, fill your week up with live fishing podcasts. Listen to this one, and then listen to the other ones that I'm going to mention here. So let's get into it. I had to respond to my girlfriend first before she freaks out, but she's not that crazy. Promise. But hope everybody had a good week. Update from Tuesday's episode. I reached out to Cam to come on today, and he saw the text late, or saw the DM late, and was like, "Hey man, I'm sorry, I'm just now seeing this. Been a busy week." Of course, kid plays college baseball, and he's probably one of the best. He's the best first baseman in the Southeastern Conference this year. So yeah, the kid's pretty damn busy, and they got an away series in Gainesville, Florida. I think that series starts today. But dude, he took time to respond to it, and he's like, "Hey man, reach out to my SID Oliver." I think this is an awesome opportunity. Reach out to my SID. He handles stuff like this. So we got the wheels turning on that appearance. SID has not responded to my text message yet, but guess what? We're getting there. So let's get into this. Still forgetting to respond to my girlfriend. Hold on. So what time you doing your podcast? Right now. Just gonna say now, LOL. Cool. And my buddy Sammy. Crazy story. Me and my dog did get bullied out of the dog park at our apartment by a Russian 6-year-old in a Louis Vuitton shirt about 20 minutes ago. Took the dog on a walk. I was like, you know what? We'll go into the dog park a little bit. Some little kid is I don't know what it is. If it's like two separate parts of his family, like his mom and his cousins all live in the apartment complex, and I literally think like there's one person other than the kids that speak English in the entire family. And one of the kids, my dog and I walk into the dog park, and he looks at us and he goes, "Take your dog home. Take your dog home. Take your dog home. Take your dog home." This dude is 6. I'm like, yo, I respect the Louis Vuitton drip, but yo, like that's a little wild, man. Take your dog home. He's staring at my dog and I in like the fence, and I'm just sitting there with my little Boston Terrier. It's like, all right, say less, King. I'm out. So, like any other child would do, like any other 28-year-old, yes, I walked out of the dog park with my 4-year-old Boston Terrier because the 6-year-old looked at me and said, "Take your dog home. Take your dog home. Take your dog home." So, you know what I did? I took my dog on the remainder of his walk and put it on the trailer and took it home. It's like, the hell with that. That was a little creepy, dude. Headed to the house. Not having that. But, all right. After that was the wildest side tangent. I'm so sorry. My ADHD really was running wild right there. I was trying to do 2 things at once, and it was just a giant clusterfuck. But let's get into this actual podcast episode. Like I said, we're going to be going over some of the other podcasts in the industry. There are some great ones too. I might not even be naming all of them because I'll put some at the end just quick. But there are so many, and there are so many good ones that you all should listen to. I'm only gonna go over, I want to say, maybe, let me see how many are on this list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll probably go 8, honestly. Yeah, I'm gonna go 8 because I forgot a really big one on here that I will actually bring up first because it is probably it is the podcast that I listen to. I listen to probably 3 the most, but this one is the one out of those 3 that I will sit. I work at a golf course. So I ride all 18 holes and I cut all the greens, all the putting greens. So I have ample amounts of time to sit, listen to podcasts. So I've listened to a lot of these. I've listened to a lot of the episodes of some of these twice. And I love a lot of these podcasts, and their hosts are super cool too. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of the hosts are super cool. One of them, the next one that I'm gonna talk about, awesome. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, I forgot to put one in here too that I was damn, I'm sorry. It was so I was prepared, but I forgot to finish out what I was doing on that walk because I kind of took the walk. I was like, you know what, get the dog out and do a little walk, do my list of podcasts, and then old Louis Vuitton Don came over and was messing with my brainwave, man. It happens. It happens. But hmm. Yeah, dude, I missed so many of these. Um, like I said, there is no particular order that I'm doing this in. It's just all. I'll let's see how many I got now. I'm pretty sure I got all the ones I want to. What's the other one? There we go. The last one I haven't listened to. So bear with me here. Just had to finish that up. But finally, the first one I will talk about, Spencer Durant. Probably I discovered this podcast, I want to say a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Untangled, dude. I mean, whether you're a beginner, an intermediate, or an advanced angler, Spencer runs an awesome show. And I don't know what it is. He has the best eye for like picking a topic for an episode. Like there was one that I was listening to that I was like, that is such a good topic to talk about. And the way that he broke it down was unbelievable. And I think that I just remembered which one it was. It was the anatomy of a trout. And I still, to this day, will tell people about that episode. He does a ton of good information in that episode about how the trout is built. Look at the trout. And what's cool is you can do visual on that podcast as well. So if you're watching it on YouTube or listening to it on uh Spotify, it's got all sorts of visual. So it makes it really cool and interactive to watch the podcast on these different platforms. Um, so the one that was all about the anatomy of a trout, he goes into detail about the positioning of a trout's eye, how a trout sees your fly when it's drifting, how long it sees it, how like the fly tying, fly tying should go, like how you should tie flies, give into that information. And honestly, that was probably the most amount of information that I retained listening to anything in a long time. I learned more about fishing for trout and you know uh bettering myself as an angler in that one episode than I learned in school. Like given I wasn't learning about fly fishing in school. I was learning math and language arts, and I could honestly give two shits about both of those subjects. Now, I did like history, but I learned more I retained more information in that one episode than I did all through elementary school, middle school, and high school. Spencer is an awesome host. He has guests on there sometimes. His guests are always really good. And he puts a super funny twist onto things. And what's cool about it is Spencer goes into detail in a lot of his episodes that he is a teacher by nature. Um, he actually is. He taught school. So he's like, I'm naturally a teacher. And he's like, so doing this podcast and teaching people about fly fishing is like second nature for me. Um, so that's a big thing into it. And like I said, he breaks down every episode and topic that he talks about to a T. And it is so cool to listen to and retain the information from, whether you're intermediate, whether you're a beginner, whether you're an advanced angler or guide, anything. Such a good show. And just how he does it. Give it a listen. You'll know what I'm talking about. I'm going to link all of these shows in the show notes, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, wherever. But like I said, that one, Untangled, presented by Ventures Fly Co. with the host Spencer Durant. So give him a listen. That was the that I will still listen to that show a lot. A lot, a lot, a lot. The next one I got is the Taylor Trash uh fly fishing podcast. Taylor Trash, all these guys are from different parts of the country. Um and it's such a cool podcast because they all meet in like these different places, they travel together. I'm pretty sure they're all from different places. I think one of them's from Florida, another one's from like Tennessee or something like that. I forget. But they all meet and travel together to do all these fishing trips, and they're all really cool. You listen to the dudes on the podcast, and it's literally like sitting down, talking fishing and drinking beers with your buddies, telling stories about traveling and stuff like that. But at the same time, they throw some stuff in there that you can like that teaches you something, you know? I think a big thing in podcasting, given sometimes I don't do this enough, is somebody, if you're listening to a podcast, somebody's probably listening to that to learn something. 95% of the time on my show, it's just me rambling, talking about fishing or talking with somebody about fishing experiences and stuff like that. But these guys at Taylor Trash, it's either Trailer Trash or Taylor Trash. I'm 90% sure it's Taylor Trash. Let me double check myself just in case, um, because I don't want to disrespect any of those guys over at that show because it's a great show. Spotify, load up quick for me, please. I forgot to do my picks for the songs again today. Fuck. But let me see. I hope I'm saying it right. I'm pretty sure I'm saying it right. I just want to double check so I'm not disrespecting anybody. Because I think it was like, yeah, Taylor Trash fly fishing. So I thought it was Taylor Trash because it was a cool pun on like trailer trash and Taylor Trash, like a tailing redfish and stuff like that. But let's get back to it. Awesome podcast. I learned about them. I forget where I saw this podcast advertised, but I was living in Florida at the time, and they were holding an event. I'm pretty sure. Here, I'm gonna open up the about page. Yeah, here you go. So, the most genuine fly fishing podcast in the world. That is true. These dudes are so funny and cool. But Taylor Trash Fly Fishing podcast produced in a double wide trailer along the shores of Mosquito Lagoon. Yeah, see, I'm pretty sure they're from Florida. Who enjoy the finer things in life like smoked meats, pickled vegetables, and beer. Join us around an old oak table to hear our latest fly fishing adventures. While most stories take place in Florida's saltwater, destinations we've been known to catch fish from Alaska or chase fish from Alaska, Colorado, Montana, Tennessee, and the Carolinas. We share our unvarnished opinions on the latest trends and happenings in the world of fly fishing, good or bad, just like you might hear at a fly shop or a skiff or standing around in the parking lot of a local takeout or put in. Dude, that is the most to a T about us page on a fly fishing podcast that I've ever heard. Because, dude, this is probably the most genuine fly fishing podcast you'll listen to. They're such cool dudes in the way that they sit around and just talk about it. It's super cool. Like I said, it's like sitting around and drinking several cold beers with your friends and just being like, remember that time I lost that freaking 16-inch rainbow on a sex dungeon? Yeah, man. You remember that time I lost that 3-pound smallmouth on that Clouser minnow in the middle of Columbia, South Carolina? It's literally just going back and doing stuff like that. And these dudes are cool as hell, funny, awesome to listen to. Taylor Trash Fly Fishing. They are some really great fishermen as well. So won't go without saying that those dudes can flat out fish. They are some very good fishermen in Florida. But once again, Taylor Trash Fly Fishing. Check them out. And let me know what you think about that show because those guys are super funny. And what's cool, why I did this is all the fly fishing podcasts in our space just vary. Some might be more humorous, some might be more serious. Some might just be a bunch of dudes sitting around a table drinking beers and telling stories, which is super cool. I like shows like that, but I just want to make people aware of some of the ones that are super cool and super fun to listen to. Um, just make people aware of them. But let's go on to the next one. The Fly Fish Food Podcast. Dude, those guys are cool too. You got Cheech and Lance Egan's on that show. Lance Egan's is actually the host of another one of the podcasts we're going to talk about in this segment. Um, the Fly Fish Food Podcast is one of those ones that it's a good blend of everything. You learn a lot. They have some cool guests, but at the same time, it's funny where they'll sit around and talk about, just tell stories, hang out. It's another one of those ones where it's like a couple buddies sitting around telling fishing stories from years back. I got to do a little bit more of that on mine. Get around with some of my buddies to just kick back and hammer beers and tell stories and just get on the podcast. Unfortunately, when I do try and do that, we all get too fucking carried away and we all end up like hammering way too many beers and we're all cursing up a storm talking over each other, and it's just literally like chasing hens around a hen house. But like I said, Fly Fish Food Podcast, Cheech, Lance Egan's, those are two really, really cool dudes in the industry. They run that huge store out in Utah. If you tie flies and all that stuff, you know the store I'm talking about. I buy a lot of stuff from them. My girlfriend probably gets sick of seeing them on my debit card and my credit card statements. But yep, that's the Fly Fish Food Podcast. With Lance Egan's and Cheech. Super funny dudes. Super funny dudes. So give that one a listen. Let's see. All right, did I already talk about this one? Yeah, I haven't talked about this one, but this is a huge one. This is a very big one. I probably should have brought this one up a little bit sooner because I put this one on the Mount Rushmore of fly fishing podcasts. The Orvis Guide to Fly Fishing podcast. I mean, the absolute legendary podcast with an absolute legendary host, Tom Rosenbauer. When you think of Orvis, my mind automatically goes to Tom Rosenbauer. How he does his show, it is super super cool to listen to because part of the show is dedicated to Tom answering questions from guys that either call into their speak tube, I think it's called, or they email in, and it's all stuff from the from the people that listen to his show, and he goes through, answers all the questions, and then he'll break off from the questions at some point. He calls it the fly box. Breaks off from the questions, and he either talks about a particular topic or has a guest on. He has some really cool guests on his show all the time. Some of the greats in the fly fishing industry. I'll go to his just to name you a few. There's some really really cool ones. I've listened to a lot of them. let's see. Yeah, the Orvis Fly Fishing Guide. Here it is. Honestly, I feel bad. I haven't listened to this one in a while. Last one I listened to was uh, February, so I had to catch up on that. I'm sorry, Tom. My 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 sincere apologies that I haven't listened to in a long while. Yeah, Tim Camiso was on one. Let's see, Dave Kurzinski. I listened to that one. Super cool. He's a big writer for, I want to say, like the angling trade. He's a big writer for them. Let's see, Sean Combs. That was a cool one. No Diddy. Not that Sean Combs. Um, Peter Lorelli. That one was about a fly fishing from a paddleboard, which I happen to be terrible at. Let's see. There was another super cool one. The Kirk Dieter one was really cool too. Talking about a job, wanting a job in the fly fishing industry. Super cool. He gives you a lot of really cool insight on that. And then how to plan. Like there was one Joe Bibbo. How to plan a DIY fly fishing trip. That one, if you do a lot of DIY fly fishing, go to the Orvis Guide to Fly Fishing podcast and listen to that show. Listening to Joe and Tom talk about how they break down these different fisheries when they're doing a DIY trip was really cool. Like I said, Tom is a super cool super cool host, super knowledgeable. You know, Tom Rosenbauer, dude. I mean, dude is one of the most knowledgeable guys in the industry. So when you listen to that one, I'd say that one is more teaching based and informative. But it's one of those things still. If you're a beginner, if you're an intermediate guy, if you're an advanced guy, it's just a really cool podcast. You know, say you're driving to the river, driving to work in the morning if you got a super long commute like I used to. Plug in your phone and put in the Orvis Guide to Fly Fishing and just let it ride. And it will make your ride seem a lot shorter. You're like, oh dang man, I literally only already drove an hour. Yeah, you get into it, you start listening to stuff, you listen to Tom's very calming voice, and you're like, that ride wasn't too bad. But that's the Orvis Fly Fishing Guide. Super good podcast. Super good. That's one of my favorites. It's up there just because it is so informative, and Tom is just such a wealth of knowledge that it's hard not to listen to that podcast. What was my next one? Let's see, the Scoffcast, Southern Culture on the Fly. Those guys are super cool. These guys, they don't release that podcast on like a weekly basis. They don't release a lot, but when they do, it's a super funny episode. Super cool. They'll post about it when they do. I think they just recently did one. I'll let you know. But I don't know the guys that run that podcast as well. But I've talked to him a few times. Hold on. I might be able to get you a I might be able to get you a name. I think there's one of them that's from there's one of them that's from around here. Like there are a lot of cool guys. Super cool guys. I'm reading through Yeah, there's a couple that are from North Carolina, so that's kind of cool. They're all from the Southeast. I think one is from North Georgia, and the other is from, I want to say, the Rossman area. I think. I think it's like that Rossman French Broad River corridor, um, Talksaway area. Um, but it makes for a really cool podcast when they release one. They have really cool people on. I know. I know they came. They came. Uh, they came to. I want to say it was one of the Forks. The Forks of the Riverfest for Headwaters Outfitters. They were up at that, and they released an episode with the owners of Headwaters, Jessica, and a couple of those guys up there. Their guides, and it was a super cool episode because it was like kind of put awareness on like the fest and stuff like that, and a lot of it went to help out from the storm, um, which is super cool, and that's just the kind of people they are. Um, I think that's more of a style where they'll hang around, tell stories like I was saying about some of the other ones, like you're talking to your friends. But they are also very informative as well. Let me see. Let me see what their what their uh hmm, hmm. Sorry, I was reading through something that I had the text thread I had going with the Southern Culture guys. Let's see. How to get to that one? I don't. Scoffcast. There it is. All right. I'll read their little about us page too if they have one. Yeah, about you have found the Scoffcast, a podcast by the creators of Southern Culture on the Fly magazine. They also do have a magazine. I always forget about that. Go check them out online. Their magazine's super cool. So Scoff is the collective voice of a community that is reverent, keen, and ridiculously fun. Scoff is not a pickleball court or a golf tournament or an online magazine. Not just a magazine, anyway. We are the water tower on which the fly fishing south spray paints its name. We're we are a chameleon that is equal parts hardcore and half-assed. We are a diesel pump of homegrown creative energy that you will find nowhere else in the industry. Community. These dudes, that's what I mean. These dudes are just funny. Um, their last episode was actually episode 9. It was April 2nd. They had a pretty cool podcast. So let's see what else they have. They got April 2nd was their last one. April 8th was the Sherpa in a warehouse of coyotes. And then the other one, episode 7, was the Forks of the River one. That one was pretty cool. I want to see what this one is. Yeah, this was the one where they went up to Headwaters. Cool people there as well. Check them out. But that's the Scoffcast. Just funny dudes, bringing awareness to some cool stuff. Their hosts are super funny, and it's cool just to listen to because what they kind of go on, like, do they chase trout? Yeah, but they have a hat that has on it. It's like bass greater than trout, which is cool because sometimes in the summer, it gets a little too warm to trout fish. And it's like, you know what? I want to go whip a big clouser at some damn stripers or smallies or something like that. So that's what we don't do. And they bring in a little like a cool little sense of awareness to that side of fly fishing where it's like you're chasing not only trout, but bass, panfish. Pretty cool. Check them out. Southern Culture on the Fly. They got some pretty cool stickers and stuff too. Now, the Noob and the Knower, that one is the one with Lance Egan. Um, That one I have not listened to, but the people that have and the people that I asked about this podcast had nothing but great things to say about it. So Lance, obviously, he's on that whole fly fish food team. Cool dude, awesome, awesome, awesome host. Um, very informative. And it's just a cool overall cool spin on it. With you got some funny stuff in there, but it's a good teaching podcast. Um, like I said, I haven't really listened to that one as much. I've listened to a couple. The next one I got, Wet Fly Swing. I've listened to a few of the episodes from there. The guys that some of the dudes that I know that have been on there. Dave runs a super, super, super tight ship on that podcast. Super good interviewer, super informative guy. Um, the people that he has on there are absolutely awesome. If you listened to the podcast a couple weeks ago with John, he's had John on there. He's had some of the best in the industry on that show, and he. I've actually been going back and forth with Dave a little bit, and he's actually really, really helped me with different ways to distribute my podcast. He's just like that, super informative about that. He's run a podcast for a whole lot longer than I have. Um, Actually put me onto my new host website where I it makes it so much easier for me to distribute my podcast to different platforms now. I would not have known that if I wasn't on a phone call with Dave a few weeks ago and he was like, "Hey, check out check out Libsyn." And I checked it out. I was like, "This is sick." Never had my podcast on Apple. I tried to do that myself when I first started this, and didn't end up going through with it because I was having an absolutely hellacious time doing it until I found Libsyn and Dave. Um, I will give you Dave. Like I said, Dave has some awesome people on that show. Awesome people, and he is such a good interviewer. It's not even funny. That dude is super, super cool. The way he interviews is unbelievable. And you will see when you watch it or listen to it, how. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'll let you know some of the guys that he's had on there. Um, fuck. It's Wet Flies Swing. Um, Sorry, I'm over here playing with my dang Hackle pliers again. These things are a very good fidget toy. But dang, dude. I think they were alright. Wet Fly Swing. Here he is. 2.21K subscribers, 163 videos. That's where I gotta get my stuff too. Um I've this so also follow Wet Fly Swing too. They do some of the best giveaways that I have ever seen. Like awesome stuff. Um awesome stuff. Super informative guy. Um his podcast is unreal. 21 episodes so far. He's had some absolutely amazing people on there. Really cool topics and stuff like that. Tom Moore was just on it. Gunnar Brammer was just on it. If you know who Gunnar is, pretty sure he's had a few other really cool dudes on there too. I thought he had Al Perkinson on there one time. I'm gonna go to his Apple Podcast page. I thought he had Al Perkinson on there. That might just be me being a knucklehead and being uninformed. But let's see. Here we go. Let's see. All right, here we go. I think he's got Tom B. Drake the Drake Caster, Drake Magazine, John Francis Guide in the Catskills. Dude, yeah, he's had Tim Camisa. That's a big one. George Sylvester, Fly Fishing, Massachusetts. I'm trying to see if he did have Al on there because I thought he did. Um, Helena, Montana. Where is it? Tim Jeff. He's Echo Rod. So like I said, awesome podcast. Super cool guest. Super nice guy. Super informative. And so he is on Apple and YouTube. I need to see if he has it so that Apple lets him do video. No, I don't think Apple does. Yeah, but check out Dave, man. Dave's cool. Super cool. But Dave, here's this. Shout out to you, man. Libsyn has been perfect. That one's Wet Fly Swing. Check them out. Now the last two that I haven't listened to, but before those two, I gotta give this one big credit. I've listened to this one a lot, and the ones that I do listen to are phenomenal. I have to look up the um the name of the host. I just know him as the dude in the Hardy visor. But that podcast, unbelievable. He's had Flip Pallet on there. He's had Bob Clouser. He's had Kelly Gallup on there. He has had some amazing guests on that show. Absolutely fucking outstanding podcast with the guys. I actually just read that from his Andy Mill. That's the host name. Nikki Mill is a producer. But yeah, the host is pretty sure that's the host, Nikki. Yeah, Nikki Mill. The Mills are a producer and host. That podcast is awesome. Awesome. The conversations that he has with some of these guys, the guests that he has on there are super cool. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but I think it's Al Doperak. Tom Evans, Dean Butler, some absolutely unbelievable tarpon guys right there. Flip Pallet, I think that name doesn't have to go with an introduction. Chico Fernandez, another one that doesn't have to go with an introduction. He's got a lot of cool people on there that they're also hunters. They also play other sports, which is really cool. Tim Mahaffey, it's another big. That's a bonefish guy though. Let's see. I know he's had Bob on there, which was a really cool episode. Bob has that. If that's a really cool podcast to listen to, that episode with Bob and the one with Flip Pallet, that one's really cool. The one with Bob is really cool because he goes into a lot about his relationship with Lefty Cray, which is awesome. Really cool to hear some of the stories about Lefty and Bob. Yeah, Bob Clouser, that one right there. So I was on his website. I haven't really Seeing some of the guys he's had on here, but Benny Blanco is another big one. Huey Lewis from Huey Lewis and the News was on there. That's kind of sick. Didn't know he had Huey Lewis on there. Um, didn't know Huey Lewis was a fly fisherman either. But yeah, dude, that podcast is awesome. That one is more like a conversation kind of thing, but the host is super great, super good at interviewing. Once you listen to like one of his shows, it's unbelievable. Um, super cool. I had some fantastic guests on there, like I was just listing off. Um, you learn a lot, but what's cool about that podcast? I lived in Florida for 2 years. That podcast cares a lot about the conservation for the fisheries in the state of Florida. And if you know anything about the fisheries in the state of Florida right now, there's a lot of shit going on down there that doesn't really get talked about. I mean, old Florida, like it's sad to think about. Old Florida, as we knew it before, is absolutely gone. They're talking about putting golf courses out on state parks. They're talking about all sorts of stuff like that. Old Florida, like whatever is left of old Florida is gonna be gone. Um, like it's sad. Um, that Florida as we knew it, like it essentially it's still a very good state for outdoorsmen, but a lot of the stuff that's going on in that state right now is very quickly depleting what is left of the fishing and hunting down there. And it's a lot like what's going on up in Wyoming right now too. Wyoming, Montana, not good. No bueno at all. But on the flip side there, the Millhouse podcast gears so heavily towards um the conservation of the fisheries and the wildlife in the state of Florida, and I love that. Um, Let me see. I'll get a couple more guests out there for you, just to get out there. Um, let's see. I'm forgetting one too. I'm forgetting one. Oh yeah, Dad's on. Dropped my hackle pliers. I'm sorry. I was using them as a fidget once again, and I dropped them. But one that I have listened to, and they're super nice guys. I go back and forth with them a little bit. Dad's on the Fly. That's another good one. Sorry to cut into the Millhouse talk, but Dad's on the Fly. Um, they're actually from here in North Carolina. Um, super cool guys. If I could show you the the sticker I have on the back of my laptop that they did for Hurricane Helene. Really cool. Um, One of the hosts has he was affected heavily by the storm. Um, and that's why they made the sticker. The guys over at Mount Yonder Fly Fishing. They put together that sticker, and the design of it was really cool. I bought one, um, and I love it. Um, but yeah, go check out those guys. They have some really cool guests too. They've had Al on. They've had James Garrettson on. Um, they have some really cool guests on there. The guys from Turtle Box they've had on. Um, just all around really cool episodes. Really cool hosts too. What's nice to see is that both of the hosts sit down and they are in the same room, which is super cool. You hardly ever see a host in the same room running, co-host and host running the same show, and I think that's just really cool. But yeah, go check them out, and yeah, just super nice guys. Really good show. Go check them out too. Go check them out. Go check out all these guys. That's why I'm doing this show. That's why I was like, you know what? I don't have a guest for today. It's like, I'm just going to sit here and talk about other fly fishing podcasts because there are so many good ones out there that people don't know about. And Dad's on the Fly is very much so a hidden gem in this list. But Millhouse, let's see. Millhouse Podcast. There are other guests. Yep, Bob Clouser. They just had a really cool one. Phil O'Bannon. That was a really cool one. Eric Compton. He's a golfer and a fly fisherman. Super cool. Brian Esposito. He's Gladescraft Skiffs. Manny Puig. Guy Harvey was on Millhouse. That's a really cool one. That's one that goes big time into like Florida conservation because that's the one thing that Guy Harvey is also very big on is the conservation of Florida and just conservation in general. All these guys, we're all super into conservation of fisheries. Tim Choate, that's another one. Kelly Gallup, Streamer King. But yeah, he's got some very, very unique and cool guests on there. Jake Jordan, Andy Thompson, Al Doperak, Homo Sass's greatest god. That's a pretty cool one. Bob Popovic, that's a good one. Another legend. Like I said, he's got all the legends on that Millhouse podcast, which is really cool and very very, very informative. If you listen to the ones with if you listen to the Millhouse podcast, period, there's some awesome informative episodes on there with some of the best fly fishermen in the world on there. Chris Whitman with Captains for Clean Water was on there. That's a good one. Another one, really big one about Florida conservation. But yeah, just go and listen to them, man. I mean, really, really, really cool podcast. And what's nice about Millhouse, which is pretty cool too, which is most of the time the guest is sitting right in front of them, and they're in the same room, which is like super like just a personal he gets there on a personal level, which is really nice. There's that one. Now the last two I am not too much aware of because I haven't listened to it, and one of them I definitely should listen to. I should probably listen to both of them. But Anchored with April Vokey is one. April, everybody I have talked to, I asked a few people that listen to a lot of podcasts before I got on this show, which ones I should put on here. And this one was very much so one of the ones that a lot of people were like, oh, you got to put Anchored on there. One person even said that April's is the greatest interviewer that they've ever listened to. I'm gonna listen to more of April's podcast, and what I figure out, I'm gonna go and let you guys know what I thought about it and how I see it. It seems to be a very, very good podcast. Now the second one I'm not too familiar about is the SoFly podcast. A lot of people also very much so like the SoFly podcast. I'm gonna start listening to this one a little more. And April's podcast. And I know some people that have been on SoFly. I know people that are friends with the SoFly guys, and they say that they're all pretty cool dudes. And that show is a lot like the same thing with like the Taylor Trash guys, where it's like a bunch of buddies that get around and hang out and talk fly fishing. It's like a group of guys that sit down and talk fly fishing. It's like sitting there listening to your boys talk fly fishing and drinking a few cold beers, But that's the end of this segment and really the main part of this podcast. If you have any other podcasts that you listen to and some that and like ones that you think are really great, comment on this episode. Comment on it and let me know some of the other ones, because I'm out here to listen to not only host my own podcast, but listen to all these podcasts, because they're all these people. We're all here to do the same thing: inform people about fly fishing, talk fly fishing. We all have a common denominator in that love and passion for the outdoors and fly fishing. But that's it for this. I'm gonna let you guys in. I actually did my research this time and got a few events coming up this weekend for y'all and in the future here, not just this weekend. Big one, the first one I'm bringing up this weekend. If you're in the Central Florida area, go and check this out. The Lefty Cray Fly Tying episode, the Lefty Cray Fly Tying Fest. Hold on. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to blow your eardrums out. The Lefty Cray Fly Fishing Fest and the Fly Tying Fest. Lefty Cray Fly Tying Fest, Lefty Cray Fly Fishing Fest. Either or. But go and check that out if you're in the South Florida. If you're in the South Florida region, some awesome dudes there. Eric Estrada. If you don't know who Eric Estrada is, look him up on YouTube. Dude's brilliant, and he's a freaking phenomenal artist. Eric Estrada is going to be there. If it's Lefty Cray, I'd very much so assume that Bob's going to be there. I'm going to bring up the Instagram page, and or it's just Lefty Cray's Tie Fest. I'm sorry. Let's see. Just bring up a list of guys. Lower Keys Guide Association is going to be there. Like I said, Eric Estrada, super cool dude. Soulfly Lodge. Gaspe Lodge, I hope I'm saying that right. Chase Smith, he's a Vero Beach guide. Matt Hart, another Vero Beach guide. But it's tomorrow, April 26th, in Vero Beach. And I wish I could be there so bad, because it looks like it's going to be such a fun time. Actually, I don't know if those other guides that I just mentioned are from Vero Beach. That's just the date and place where it's at. I'm sorry if I offended any of you guides that I just mentioned. But super, super cool. Super cool giveaways and stuff. Super cool guys. Super cool companies are going to be there. White's Tackle, Yeti, Sightline Provisions. Renzetti's going to be there. Yellow Dog Fly Fishing. The Chocolate Factory. If you know the Chocolate Factory, if you tie streamers, you probably buy a lot of stuff from the Chocolate Factory. Paul Puckett's going to be there. Charleston's very own Paul Puckett legend. TFO, Cortland, Duck Camp, the Lower Keys Guide Association, Hardy, Bahio. That's going to be pretty sweet. So go check that out tomorrow. Lefty Cray's Tie Fest in Vero Beach. That's going to be such a cool event that I wish I could go to so bad. Chico Fernandez is going to be there. That's big too. Chico Fernandez is a legend. Rob Fordyce, another legend. Flip Pallett's going to be there. Debatably he should be on the Mount Rushmore of fly fishing. I'd assume that Bob's going to be there. But like I said, go check it out. Lefty Cray's Tie Fest. That's going to be a super cool event down there in Central Florida. So that's our first one. Out there in Coosa River, Alabama, you got the fly fishing film tour at Cahaba Brewing from 1 to 6. those fly fishing film tours are pretty cool. I haven't been to one yet, but they are super cool. So go check that out. 1 to 6 tickets available are on Coosa Riverkeeper and I believe Tiny URL. 2025 F3T. Here, let's see. Another one. This is coming up. This is coming up on May 10th at Hunter Banks Fly Fishing. Some awesome dudes over there at Hunter Banks. I'm also gonna make this into like an interactive calendar where when I find fly fishing events going on, I'll put it in there. So you guys have a big calendar of events wherever it is. With all these events. So May 10th, 11 to 4, you got Rods and Roses Mother's Day sale and fundraiser over there at Hunter Banks Outfitters. They got raffle prizes, mimosas, local breweries. They got brunch, casting contest, and music. Some companies that are going to be there: Umpqua, Patagonia, R.L. Winston, Fish Pond, Sims, Lamson, Highland Brewing, Crooked Creek Hauler, Orvis, Chop Shop, Scientific Angler, and this is also all benefiting Casting Carolinas. Not only is Hunter Banks going to be there for this, Headwaters Outfitters and Davidson River Outfitters is going to be at this also. I think it's like a joint little event going on here. So go check that out at Hunter Banks, 29 Montford Ave, Asheville, North Carolina. Go and support all those guys. Bring your mom with you. Mother's Day sale and fundraiser. Everything going to casting for the Carolinas. So, like I said, those are the few events that I had for this week. I'm going to keep a running event calendar for this. I'll probably have it just in my, what's that thing called? I don't even know. The link tree. But until Tuesday, I'll get up with you guys later. Go catch some fish this weekend. Have a good weekend. Have a safe weekend. And catch some fish. Whatever you catch, tag me in the shit and just have a good time. I might try and do some fishing on Sunday. Ross Flies out.